So this video is about body awareness building. So Siggi has such a long body. He has such long legs, and he's really, at 16 months. I think he's 16 months right now. If I did that math right, I think I did. He's definitely still learning about how to move his body. Here I'm playing with him on this little station. So it's a dog training platform called a Cato board, and the game we're playing is to try and get all 4 feet on this platform. I am treating him for 3 feet, which is fine for now, but eventually I do want to work towards consistently getting 4 feet. So by doing that, by rewarding for 3 feet, I'm kind of preventing the frustration of being unable to get too difficult of a reward. So I don't want my criteria to be too high with something like this. I want him focused on what his feet are doing when he's getting the treat. So here we have a different 3 feet on the same platform. Sweet boy. Other things that we can do to build body awareness, I'm going to show throughout this video. So there's several things I've tried with Siggi, and I definitely recommend keeping up with them. Body awareness building is also really important for preventing injury and just building muscle. I don't know quite as much about straight up conditioning, but it's definitely something that would be worth looking into for him. Okay, and this is another exercise that we're doing for body awareness building. So I'm just luring him into different turns. So we're trying to get him to spin both directions. Nice. It's a little bit easier for him to spin counterclockwise, which most dogs do have a directional thing that's easier for them. So you see there was a counterclockwise one that looked really nice, and it was a really nice tight spin. He knew exactly how to do it. When I ask for the other side, you can tell it's a little bit more stiff and it goes a little bit more wide instead of having a nice tight turn to it. So here we'll do another rep. Good job. This is a great practice for him. And the other side, he's like, that's a little harder. That's my hard side. There we go.
Good boy, you did good.
And we're going to practice some positions. So just basic sit down and stand. Ideally, you'd be able to get these positions with front feet in place. He doesn't have the foundational skills yet for that, but it is something that would be really great to work towards with him, is being able to get to rotate through different positions with his front feet staying in place instead of him having to walk them back and forth. His body is capable of getting into a seated position without walking his front feet back. It's called a tuck sit, and what he would do is bring his back legs forward instead of bringing his front legs backward. So that would be a great goal to have with him.
Good boy. Good job.
But at this point it's difficult, so that's fine. I'm just practicing some sit and then stand and then sit and then stand. Just doing some basic muscle building. So in this clip I set up a plank. Ideally, I'd have a plank that's a little bit wider, but this is still really, really great practice for him. If I did have a plank that was wider, there's an exercise I'd want to be able to do with him called turning on a plank, which is exactly what it sounds like. Basically, the dog is practicing turning around when they're on a plank. He is capable of doing that, but I would want to practice on something wider first, just because I think this would be too difficult for him on this width of plank at this stage in his development. But this is a width, just to give you an idea of reference, this is a width that's appropriate for both of my dogs to practice turning on a plank on. So instead, what I'm practicing with him is just, can you get all 4 feet on the plank? So you'll see so far I've gotten a bunch of 3 feet. There's another 3 feet, kind of experimenting with my positioning and the way that I'm luring him. Just kind of keeping it lighthearted there. It's not a big deal that he knocked over the plank, but I don't want it to scare him either. He does seem to get a little bit startled when something kind of comes out of nowhere fast. Yay, we got 4 feet! So this is great stuff for him. It's tough learning how to put all 4 feet somewhere if you're this big of a guy and your body's been changing so quickly. So the practice here is just toss a treat so that he's entering the plank in a straight line not from an angle. That would be too difficult. But again, that would be something that could be an eventual fitness goal, but or body awareness goal. But at this stage, I'm just having him enter the plank from head on. And see, we've gotten a couple good reps in here. And this is kind of exhausting type of training for him. You know, we've talked a little bit before about how training can be a lot of mental exercise, but this especially, this kind of work where you're having to pay attention to what your feet are doing and how they're moving is really challenging mentally. So so keep that in mind if you do sessions like this. You know, keep them short like this and high reward so that it's not just frustrating. And then call it good early. Now in this video I have 2 bowls set up. You can see them, they're black rubber feed bowls, basically marketed for horses to eat out of. And I'm using them as front feet targets for him. So we're practicing going back and forth between 2 different front feet targets. This is a skill he already has, but he really likes to do this thing where he picks up one of his feet so that he's only, right like that, so that he's mostly putting the weight on one single foot. This is something I'd like to work towards shaping him out of. So I want to work towards having 2 feet really steady on the platform. So, but then again, we run into the other problem of if we withhold the reward too much, he gets frustrated. So you can see what I'm doing here is pulling the treat away slightly if he's got that one paw up. So, I guess a little hard to see from this angle, but that's my goal here in this session. This was a different part of the day. So these are all taken at totally different times with lots of breaks between. Here's an example of getting him up on a log at a sniff spot. It's also great body awareness building. Okay, this last clip here is sped up, so don't mind that. And I think my voice probably sounds like Minnie Mouse, but basically what I'm doing here is I only have a single front feet target. So just one of those same rubber bowls. Now again, this is taken at a totally different time. And this is a bit more of a challenging exercise. It's about pivoting his rear feet and keeping his front feet in place. So this is really great for building rear end awareness, which I think is one of the pieces he lacks right now. And it's difficult. Oh, there was a really good rep. Okay, so, we're getting some nice little side steps there, but that time he came off the platform. So the goal is front feet stay on the bowl, back feet rotate around. So this is a bit of a challenge for him, especially, I think what I would want to do is first get him to the point where it's a little bit easier for him to do the front feet target without, that was a good rep, without bringing up one of those front feet. You can see he's just doing that a couple times right here too, so that he's got almost all of his weight on the front right, it was at the time, which kind of defeats the purpose. We want him to practice having balanced weight placement there. So I'm just experimenting with putting my body in different directions. Pivoting is difficult for him. This is my 2nd or 3rd session working on it with him, but he does throw out a couple really good reps in there. And when he does do it, I usually can get pretty big side steps. So that's really great. But I also want you to notice how wide he's holding his rear legs, which is something that dogs do when they don't feel as steady. So that's just something to be thinking about, right? He doesn't feel super steady in this position. And so it's great for him to practice kind of building some of those muscles and learning more about how to move his big, tall body in healthy and ergonomic ways. And this is a great challenge for him too, to train a difficult skill right next to a friend. You can see both of my dogs are in the pen right on the left side of the screen here, and they're getting some occasional treats. And that's an awesome distraction for Siggi. So very proud of him there. A lot of pride here for this guy. He's had a big week and he's been doing really good. See there, we started to get a side step, but then the front feet came off. Anyway, I think you get the idea. This would be a great practice for him in real life. You could just look up pivoting, a rear end awareness building for dogs. You'll probably get a really similar series of exercises. Okay, one last exercise here I wanted to show you guys. So you see I have 3 brooms and a rake on the ground. So this gives him something to practice walking over and learning to avoid things with his feet. So avoid kicking the brooms. It shouldn't be any kind of like startle or painful for him. So I keep them really easy.
Good.
Basically all the
That was
brooms
better.
except for one are completely flat on the ground. The green one you see is slightly elevated just because it's got the
Better.
dustpan on it. So
Good
that's a
boy.
nice helpful little challenge, and it is the one that he struggles with the most. This exercise is also known as doing cavalettes. In theory, ideally, you're using identical things,
You wanna
and
do it
it's
again?
kind of a closed environment, and they're spaced apart in a particular way. But this is just a cheap version of doing cavalettes. So this is my budget cavalettes. So you could absolutely do something like this. We have a big break here to drink some water and putz around. Anyway, you can see that what I'm doing here is I want him to be moving in a
Good,
straight
you got
line
it.
back and forth
Yeah,
on
there you
these,
go.
so that
Good
there's not a
boy.
bunch of diagonal angles.
Good
Instead,
boy.
it's just nice and easy, straight on angles for him to practice walking over with his big
Got it,
clumsy
Chief?
feet and learning
it,
to
Chief?
avoid the sticks. And you can see it is
Good boy. That was a way
doable
better
for
one.
him, but he does kick them. In almost every rep, I can hear at least
It's hard,
one
huh? That
kick.
green one's a little higher.
There's 2 reps I think he does in this video where there's zero kicks. But that would
Good
be a great thing to work
boy.
up to. So this is a great thing to practice with him too. It's a nice little physical therapy exercise. And again, pretty mentally exhausting in a good way.